Right back again for making the AI dog on Saturday Craft. Well, first thing I did this week towards Saturday Craft is I sewed together the two paw print trials. Remember I said I was going to make them into a pincushion? So I just stuffed it. And what I did is I crab stitched from here all the way around to here. Then I stuffed it and then I did the easy bit and crab stitch. Now crab stitch is just reversed single crochet. So instead of going that way, we went that way. So that's all done and ready for when it's finished. So I'll put that aside. The other thing I did, take them out of there, take that out of there, take everything out of there, is I cut out our piece of plastic canvas. Now this fits here exactly. That's the size I wanted it. So if you remember, we're going to put the dog head on this, but we need to give it a platform so that we can still use the whole bit underneath as a yarn ball. So this piece, where's measuring tape? From my container. So my whole container is 33 centimeters across, and the piece I made covers 11.5. So if you want to be doing that with yours, that's what I have done. I also pinned the pockets on just to see how they'll look. I've left myself quite large tails on the tops of the pocket gussets just to help sew them in. So these have all been joined up, like I said in the last video, just a single crochet in the back, no, slip stitch in the back loop from the wrong side. And then we are just going to sew these on like so that they close up in the middle. That it doesn't sit quite well because of the pins, but this is the general idea that they will have. And if you remember this side, this is where the head will be. This pocket goes over the whole side so that when the head is here, it will round out like the chest of the dog. And then this other one at this end doesn't quite, it'll actually come across a bit because we've got to get a tail coming out here. We may even need to push it a bit more so the tail can be central, but I just pinned them on to see how they would look. Where's that attached to? Oh, that's attached to that. That's all right. We could actually cut that off because we don't need that anymore and it's getting annoying. Where is it? Where's the scissors? Of course. Everything in the pencil case gets in the way. There we go. So we'll just trim that. I'll trim it about there just so that that bit of string doesn't keep annoying me. So today's project, we're up to the stage where we need to attach some things. And I think the first thing to do would be to take the gusset off and sew the lining to the inside. So first thing, we'll take the gusset off. Bring the pin cushion down, take these off because we will need to sew across the top and I don't really want to be stabbed by pins while I do it. Where's the top? There it is. So far we haven't changed too much from the picture that we're using as our reference, which is good. All right, so that is our gusset. This one here hasn't been sewn up because I was going to show you one more time how to sew it up. And first thing we'll do, so this is our lining that we did on episode 1, and this is our, well, that was the outer lining, this is the inner lining. So my seam where my outside bit joins up, I want to put that at this end, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tuck it inside, make sure that the base is to the bottom. And then I'm going to use, I have all these mini quilt pins here, so I'm going to use them just so that I can keep it to the plastic. Then I'm going to do the same thing at the other end. So you got to make sure that the base is on the bottom, not above the bottom. What's this? This is something being weird here. What is it? Don't know. Got some little hairy bits of string being weird. Let's just take those off. That's better. All right, so that's to there. Push it right into the corners and then turn it over the edge. Make sure the base is on the bottom, not suspended. And then use a quilt pin and just clip it on. So that's the two ends. Now we need to make sure that the sides are the same. So I'm just pinning basically in the middles, and we want to make sure that we get that right. Yep. And then this one, just folding it over and just holding that in place. Now that would be enough, but I think I'll also fix these corners so that they're exact, and then pin in the middle. Just the more pins you have, the happier you are, because you know you're spaced out right. Does that make sense? If in doubt, pin it out. Next corner. So these corners haven't been clipped because I wanted to tuck them inside. Normally when you're doing linings and you've got corners, you clip them so they stay snug to the corner, but I didn't do that because I wanted to fold them over. So the last one is here. And clip that. Oh, one clip short and another one. Sorry about my arm in the way. So that's the lining all clipped to the top. Now I'm going to sew that on. What are these little strings everywhere? Actually, what I might do is I'll just leave that for now, because there's another thing that we've got to sew on too. So I might as well pin that at the same time. But what I was going to say is we have this string attached here. If you can get your needle through the holes using this yarn, go right ahead and just over sew the top edge with that. I don't think this yarn for me will get through, so I'm going to use this sewing thread and a smaller needle, because I'm going to go through the top row of holes on the basket, which is why we got this basket to begin with anyway. So that'll just be over sewn along there. So just chuck that in there. But the other thing we have to do as well is put some felt on the back. So this is just some grey felt that I have. Let's find the bit I've already cut. There it is. Waving things in front of the camera, I am sorry. Alright, so just got a little bit of course it wants to stuff up. I only got a little small area under the camera. Don't need you. So we just put this here, move that out the way. I don't know that the pen will show up. Let's see. Oh yeah, it will. So I only need this the exact size of the edge. Well, a little bit over, but not by much. Like so. So that's the size for that. So we'll just quickly rough cut that out. Right, that's gone. Get that out of the way. So this is our little piece. Now we'll cut it a bit nicer. Remember when I drew around it, I had a little bit of an edge. Now this is for the underneath of the, what do we call it, the underhead piece. Does that make sense? Just so that no rough edges from the plastic canvas catch on any yarn that we have in the yarn bowl. We'll just make a smooth part. Alright, so pull all them out of the way. Put this back again. Lay that down. Lay this on top. Yep, that looks fine. Get a couple of our handy dandy little quilt clips. We're going to clip there, clip there. We really want the corners to be correct because they do have, when I cut them, they do have little jagged bits, so we do need to cover them in. Right, so that's that piece done. And we also needed to do this. So maybe we'll do this too. Quickly. Well, not quickly, but you know. So there's our hook. And we needed some of this yarn. This is the darker yarn. We'll put a slip knot on. And we're just joining this up. This was the way we joined them up before. And we're only joining them up from the middle of the bottom corner, not all the way down. So we will go, we have the two decreases, and also we want the one that's the first on the side. And then we want the two decreases, we want this one. We have the loop already on the hook. And pull it through, and without the string in the way, through there as well. So one from this side, one from this side, and like that. Normally I do this the other way when I'm using a slip stitch joint, but because I want the pockets to go inwards, I put the bulk of the stitch on the back rather than the front, because if you look here, it's flattened this out, but it's going to make this curve, this side curve in, which is what we want. Hopefully you can see that. This is not a very hard thing to do. Stitch for stitch, one from one side, one from the other side. Nearly done. And I'm going to stop this, which is this stitch here, on the last stitch that's actually in the body of the work. We're going to leave that loop at the top. Yep, that's correct. So we go 1 and 2, and then we'll give ourselves a generous tail so that we can use it to sew the divider up between the pockets. So that's the one I just did, and you can see how it pulls in, taking away that second stitch. It's pulling it in, which is what we want. So that's its natural instinct, is to fold in. Or instinct. Does material have instinct? The tension on the stitches causes it to fall in, and that's what we want. We want them to stand out looking like little boxes, basically. So now they're all joined up, and then when I sew them onto the container, the only stuff on the outside will be this bottom edge and then all the way along the pockets, but then I'll also use these long strings just to sew down the joins, so that they stay where we want them and the pockets bunch up like we want them to. It will make sense when we go to do it. So now I will just sew these up. Back again, and I'm not quite as far as I said I would be, because I wonder if you can figure out what I forgot to do. I'll put the picture of the dog up and you can see. We forgot to put the tail armature in, didn't we? So before I do that, I'll just show you what I've done so far. This is my piece of plastic canvas, and I'll turn it over so you can see. I've just overcast the edges all the way around, just so that that doesn't need to be pinned when I sew it to here. And then I'm starting here. I have just overcast the lining and the outer to the container, and I've been sewing. Can you see that? I've been sewing through the container. That's why I got a container with holes in it, so I could sew through it to secure the top edge. If in the end I don't like the way this visible stitching looks, I can get a little bit of braid or ribbon and just either sew or glue that around the top edge when I'm done. At the moment, I don't mind seeing it at all. So this piece here will be going that way, and it will be sitting here. And I will be, I'm not sure whether I'll be forcing it in or sitting it on the top. Both are possible. I may just sit it on the top. That way it pulls the sides in. If I force it in, it's going to push them out, and that may not be the best idea. So we might use that as a stabilizer for the end. And if I sew it onto the top as well, this will keep this from bowing from the way to the dog. So that's all done. Now this has been sewn all the way around to here before I remembered we needed a tail armature, because in the picture, as you see, the tail is curved upwards, and without an armature, it's not going to curve upwards. Now, I did think of pipe cleaners, but the thing is they are quite weak for the size the tail would have to be. So I've got this aluminium wire that I use for my armatures for amigurumi, and I have doubled it over. And we are going to have to take this pin off. Now, it's going to be kind of hard to show you here. This is the bottom edge. So this is the top. This is the bottom. We need the tail to be in the middle, but at the top of this edge, because we're going to have the pocket coming up to here, or up to here actually. It'll be that way. So we need the tail to be coming out of the middle. Now, to find that, we need our tape. So if we measure that, it's kind of hard to show you on here. We're measuring across the top. That'll probably be the easiest. So across the top is 12. Well, that makes it easy. So across the top is 12. Make sure we're right in the middle. So then 6. 6 is where we want it to be, and I don't want it right at the top. I want it probably about there. Is that going to mark? Yes, we got a little bit of a dark mark. Can we see that in the camera? So that's about 4 rows, 5, was it? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's on the 5th row down in the middle of the end side. So now we've got to move all this out the way. We're going to have to go through the container. So what I got my, this is a teddy bear putting in needle, or doll needle, and I'm just going to go like that without my hands in the way so that I don't stab myself. Do not condone stabbing yourself, it's not worth it. So we go like this, and then hopefully we can get our wire through. Well, I have doubled it, but I might go one at a time. Is that hole? I have to go this way so I can see my hole. It is that one there. So you have to go through your covering, and then through come on, get through. There it is. Can you see that? You probably can't see that. See that? We have got the wire through, so that's good. Now we need a second one, and I'm going to do it right alongside. So on the other side of the same stitch. Now force the bigger needle through to make the hole bigger. Waggle it around, get your hand away from it. Alright, so learn from the mistake. Put the end of the needle through it so I can see where the hole is. Right, it's there. Put this through here, and then through that hole. There we go. We're going them both through. So pull them through enough that you've got a reasonable amount inside. Yeah. This wire I've got is way too long for the tail, but I'd rather have too much than not enough. I might borrow a pair of strong hands in a minute. See if I can find some. Excuse me, strong hands. Could you use wherever the pliers have gone just to twist this around for me, please? So just twist those you like the fancy people do.
Oh.
Yeah. Just like that. Now we want to make it go down because we don't want it catching on our yarn when it's in the yarn bowl. And that is the armature added. Now, like I said, it's way too long. Well, actually it's not too bad. It's only a little bit too long. So now we can carry on with our sewing up. Tuck everything back in. This here is the edge. When I get to it, I will be just tucking that down. There it is. So we put all this back. Of course, the tail is just low enough that the lining is not catching on it. Right, we saved that one. That was my fault for not remembering that we needed to do that. Put our clip, oh, there's our clip. Put our clip back in here. So we don't want to attach the tail to the top edge. We're just going to carry along doing our lining to the container. But now we have our armature for the tail in. It's actually not a bad... The length of the tail will depend on how big the head is, and we haven't got that far yet, so we will be fine with that. So what I'll do is I'll carry on around here, and then I'll come to the top here. And sewing on the top of the head, basically the same as this. You can do them all, what is it, 3, 4? All 4 pieces at once, but then you're not actually sure you're going to get it. So I did them separately, and then I will sew them together at the top. And the cat's awake, come to check my work. So I will be back in a bit and I'll show you the next thing. So I'm 2 stitches away from being finished here, and I've decided I'm not going to sew this on straight away because we might have to try and sew one of the pocket gussets underneath it, and that would be kind of hard to do with that in the way. So I just thought I'd show you how I've been sewing it up. So to get my spacings, I've been going through the back loop of the crochet stitch, through the hole in the container, and then out the other side, and then just pull it through. And I'm going to do another one here into the first one I did, and then that is finished. And how I've been tying my knots is I'm going through like that and then back through that loop that I was holding, and I usually do that 2 to 3 times just so I know it's secure. And then I hide my ends underneath the top of the crochet and the material. Where did I put my scissors this time? There they are. So we'll trim this off. So that is the lining. Oh, what do we use this? Put my pin in there. Yes, I know. I told you. I'm doing it right. So when I cut the handles off the container in part 1, I should have actually on the ends cut them a little bit lower, because there is a little bit of the handle that was on it there. I've had to go a little bit lower on the ends just so that I could secure it. So just be aware of that. But other than that, that is the whole top edge sewn down. So now, from the picture, the pockets go this way around. So let's get our pockets like so. Now we need a whole pocket on this end. So I'm just going to use my clips, get everything back again, and I'm just going to clip it. So we want a pocket there, and then this end get all the strings out the way. We want this pocket right up, can't see it. This is the pocket right next to the tail. We want this pocket right up close to where the tail comes in. So we'll clip that. That one might be a little bit fiddly to do, but we'll get it. Clip. That's not through there. Get the top of the pocket. Right, so that's our spacings for that. So now we've got to remember that these will pinch in like that and like that. So we want the middle now. So the middle would be this one. And there's his bit of string. There's another bit of string. So on the picture there was a bit of a gap at the bottom before the feet. And there was a little bit of gap at the top. Now we're going to put buttons in these holes here, so they need to be low enough that the buttons can go on them. So we'll just put them. This is not the permanent place for these, but we do need to pin them just to see where everything sits. It will be a little bit of a fiddling, but I think we can do it. We don't want to. We want the pockets still to have room. We don't want them laying flat. We want them bloused out a little bit. So that's that one. It's right at the extent of the clips. And then that one's there. This one, yeah, it's pretty good. So if I show you here, it looks like it's covering the whole thing, but that's going to come up like that. And that's down like that. So we do have the little bit at the bottom and the little bit at the top. And the way that we're going to sew these up, all right, make an executive decision. I reckon this one will be the one that I show you on. So let's get this one exactly right. That's my string. We want that one there. We want to make sure that there's enough looseness that the pocket can sit. Yep. And pull that down so that the button can be right on the top edge. Pin that in. Like that. And where's that come from? That's come from that one. Get that right out the way. So that comes up. That comes up. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to sew these little bits first, and then I'll sew all along the bottom edge and up the sides after. I think that'll be the best way to do it for me, so that I can control how things are going. Where's that coming from? It's coming from all the way over there. Tuck that in there. Actually, no, we won't tuck that in there. That's asking for trouble. Let's get this needle. I don't know that this needle will thread up. We shall see. It might thread up. I've got a feeling it won't because the hole is too small. Ooh, maybe. Oh, it's awful close. So you got to get a needle that's small enough to go through the holes on the container, but big enough to thread your yarn. All right, that's not going to work, that one. What we might do, we might be smart about this. We will get the smallest wool needle I have, because the pockets only need to attach to the outside. They don't need to attach all the way through. So just as long as we can feel that they are going the way we want them to. So now we'll take this off. We don't really want to sew the loop. I'll bring this over. So we don't want to sew the loop. So we just take the loop out the way. We want to attach this. I'm going to start attaching it on the second row down of the container edge. Then we'll go through this loop without sewing it down. Now we're on the other side. Maybe we can pin that back so it stays out the way. And then I'm just going to back stitch. So you should be able to feel with your needle, that clip's going to be in the way. should be able to feel with your needle the edge of the container, and you want to skate along it. So yes, that's now attached. See, it's not coming off. So we're just going to go back stitching all the way down the center line of the, we should actually be able to follow that. There it is. So you're following your slip stitch line. And because we're in the same color, it's not as noticeable. Do your stitches just under 1 centimetre, I think. Or is that 1 centimetre? Looks like close to 1 centimetre. A little bit big, a little bit smaller. Doesn't really matter. We're not putting fine things in when we've got holes this big. So as long as it's secured to the cover of the container, it will be fine. And another one. So this is just back stitch. So if you can see, that's my string. So I've gone in before it and then out after it. I am doing it right. You don't know, you're under the table. And nearly there. Here we go. That one. One more, I reckon. That one, that one. And that one. And then, now we've got to make sure we do this right. Theirs are going to puff up like this. So we need to make sure that we go in and we go out on the line we're going to follow for the bottom edge of the pockets, which will be that one. I'm just going to tie this to that as a bit of security. That and that. Like so. And that gusset is joined. And that's pretty tight there. That's pretty good. So now that's my line. This one here, you can just see it. That line of stitching will be where the bottom of the gusset gets sewn in. But like I said, I'm going to be sewing all of the pocket dividers first. So then I can just go around the outside edge. And that will be just the same as what I just did here. It'll just be back stitch through the cover of the container. Because we only need to attach it to the container. We don't need to attach it through the container. So when I put that on, I should have done that one. I should have done that one. Then I could have sewn this on. Oh well. So that will be the next bit that I do. So I might pause this and I'll sew that on and I'll show you what it looks like. And that I think will be all we do this week. So that once next week comes, I have to decide whether I do the head or the feet. Not really sure. The head, I think the head might have to be worked out because it's got to fit this size but still look all right in relation to the rest of the body. I'll see how I go. All right, we're back again and I've got to try and do this before the battery runs out. So what I've done is I have sewn all of the gussets. Move that this way. Yes. I've sewn all the gussets down the middle and tried to finish them all on the same line of crochet for the bottom of the pockets. And what we have to do now is we have to sew this on like that, and that will just be over sewed like we did the rest of it. That's fine. But we also have to sew, let's see if I can show you. We have to sew down here, which is from the top of the pocket to the first corner, and then all the way along the bottom to the other corner. Now, it may be slightly difficult because of the angle you've got to do a lot of the stuff on. I'm just trimming these so that they're not annoying. One thing I have found helpful when sewing difficult stuff like this is, it's going to be really hard to show you. I'll bring it like here. When I'm sewing this part, see, this is the first edge, this bit here. I've folded this right over flat so that this lines up to where it's got to be. And then I'm going to stop sewing at, you know how we did the 2 DC decreases in the corner. I'm going to stop sewing at the first one because we have to tuck the pocket up and under to sew under the pocket so it stays in line where we've stopped sewing the gusset. The way I do it is we will get some thread. We will get it threaded up. It's always a good idea to thread your needle from your yarn or your spool, pull off what you need, and then cut it. Because of the way the yarn is twisted, if you take it off and go from the other end, it'll make a lot of knots for you, which isn't helpful. So I'm just going to put a donkey knot at the end. Donkey knot is just something that you trip over. It's just a standard knot, nothing incredible. Now, what will be the easiest way to show you? I'm trying to see. All right, we can see that. Yeah. I might have to stop this and redo the camera. All right, we got it all organized. Now I'm showing you this way just so that it's visible for you. Do this the way that is comfortable to you. So I just attached the yarn to the needle and then to the top side of this pocket, and this is the last bit of sewing. So what you've got to remember, every gusset thing that I've done, I've always started on the second row down. So all the tops of the pockets are on the second row down. And then I am just picking up from the container and then going through the back loop of the outside stitch. This is why we did the gusset the way we did, so that the outside stitch is all the way around, and you're just over sewing one stitch for every oversew for every stitch that is on the gusset, and this will firmly attach all your pockets. Try and keep this edge straight as you go down. It's going to be hard because the pocket does slant a little bit, so try and keep at least the same distance away from this corner edge as you can. And that is all you do for that. Now, if you have trouble getting the end through, you can use a spoon and you just hold it where your stitch is supposed to come out. I mean, I've already done that one. Let's do it on one I haven't done. All right, so say I'm having trouble digging through, go down, go up, and then use the spoon to just pick the edge out and pull it through. It's a little bit awkward this way, but you'll probably be holding the container closer to your body, and so the spoon will help. You can just hold it there with your thumb so that you're not pushing so hard on your fingers. And you just need to follow this line all the way around, and then you tuck this in so it's along, I think we're the 4th row up on the bottom, 4th stitch row up on the bottom. So attach the bottom of the pocket to the 4th row all the way along. And then that is all we're going to do for today. So by the next time we come back, we'll have the whole gusset on. We will put this part in and sewn on, and we'll be ready to, I think we might try and do the head next week so you can have somebody looking at you. That'll be a bit of working out so we get it the right size, but I think we can do it. And I will see you next time. Please like and subscribe so that you catch the next part. I will add this to the playlist for the whole series to make this dog caddy, but if you subscribe you'll get notified when the next one's up. And also we have a Discord, and that is in the description box if you'd like to ask questions or query anything that's been in the episode. And I will see you next time.